trash lately. Tell you who is a Picasso.
Well, if you do
especially
enough
with the pen.
art.
Let me go to a real artist real quick. We had her on hold. This is a real artist, and her name is Sarah Todd, and she's joining us on the River Islands guest line. And all guests on 95.7 The Game appear on the River Islands guest line. Is it the time for you to discover the islands, River Islands in Lathrop? And look, Sarah Todd is family. She is Bay Area royalty. Hey, right, Sarah? Covering the Utah Jazz for the Desert News. I love when she comes back to Chase Center or Oracle with the great Tony Jones. I love when the Utah Jazz contingency comes in. They're great people. Sarah's great with the pen. She knows the Jazz inside and out. Sarah, long time no talk. I miss you.
I know. I miss you too, Bud. I got a couple of things right off the top just listening to you guys like before I came on. Number one, I just came back from a trip to Spain. Did not enter a Picasso museum one time, so don't care. Okay.
I love that.
Number two, did I hear someone say meat list?
Yeah. I have a grilling list. I have a grilling list that's coming up. I'm going to go 7 through 1. My most grillable meats for 4th of July.
Oh, it's tri-tip.
On the list. It's on the list. And Sarah, that's a Californian answer. I love it. I went to a college, I think the year that I turned 21, and this was a very long time ago. And it was a 4th of July party. I was living down in San Diego, college, 21, by the beach. Everyone's having a great time. I heard just a snippet out of my ear at this huge party that there was tri-tip outside. And I'm telling you, to a man, I was the only person in the backyard while everyone else was partying inside. I was the only person out in the back just eating tri-tip.
I love that. Tri-tip's pretty damn good.
That's what I'm talking about.
Well, what Warrior fans want to know is how good is Lauri Markkanen? How good is Lauri Markkanen? Before we start this conversation, obviously the rumors are swirling left and right about Lauri Markkanen. Look, you've covered him the last 2 years. Obviously, he was an all-star. He's a good offensive player, but how good is Lauri Markkanen, and is he worth it for the Warriors front? I guess they would determine whether or not he's worth it, but who is Lauri Markkanen? Tell us, enlighten us about Lauri.
Yeah, first of all, it's kind of a publicity tour as everyone's wanting to talk to me about Lauri this summer. Like, the important thing is that it's Lauri, like Mike Lowry, like Kyle Lowry. So if he ends up being a Warrior, that would be important information for everyone.
Especially for me, Lauri Markkanen. Lowry. Yeah. There we go.
He is one of the nicest NBA players I've ever covered. Like, we're talking about just the most innocent, sweet, pure man in the world. He's 26. He's got a wife. He's got 2 young kids. He doesn't drink. He is a huge nerd. He has like a 7-foot Iron Man statue in his garage. Like, he's just an absolute pure, sweet boy. But on the court, you said, he's an all-star. I think that once he was kind of able to kind of spread his wings a little bit, right? His first couple of years in Chicago, I don't think that he was looked at as much of a huge option there. Even though he did have a good rookie season and a couple of years there. Once he was with the Cavs, they were more interested in what they were actually going to eventually get, right? They were looking for kind of top pieces, and there wasn't sort of the interest in trying to unlock all of the parts of games of the guys that were on the team. And so that's where the Donovan Mitchell trade actually happened, because they were more interested in what was going to be the future of the team. And that summer that he was traded from the Cavs to the Jazz, he was playing international basketball. He was playing for the Finnish national team. And he is the guy there. He is the guy. And he operates kind of as, he plays all positions. He guards all positions. And the Jazz saw that. They knew they were in a rebuilding situation. He would have the opportunity to kind of unlock any part of his game that they wanted. So they were watching him in Finland. They said, well, why don't you come over here and do more of that, handle the ball more. You don't have to just be a spot-up shooter. We don't want to put you in a corner and just have you sit there all game. And so having that freedom actually unlocked his game in the NBA, and it showed the rest of the NBA world kind of what he was capable of. Before he was drafted out of Arizona, there was little rumblings he's kind of Dirk reminiscent, this guy. And then now we're kind of seeing that potential come to fruition. I tell people all the time, especially when you're talking about prospects and young guys, they're 19, 20, all the way to 23 years old. look across the league. Most guys don't actually hit what you think they're going to be until they're 24, 25 years old. So, and that's what you see with guys like Lauri Markkanen. I mean, he's incredible. I've seen a guy that can, hit threes at nearly 40% on a regular basis, but also has upwards of 200 dunks in the season. Like that, it's just super impressive the way that he's able to move around the court.
Incredible breakdown on him. Why is Utah open to moving him and not building around him if he was so good?
Right. I think, and I've written this a few times. I think the last time I did was almost a month ago. Like, the bottom line is the Jazz don't want to trade Lauri, right? Like, if they could keep him and get what they wanted and kind of jumpstart the run towards contention, I think that they would do that. It's not like they're wanting to get rid of him, but if an offer comes in that they can't really say no to, then they're open to it. And I think that that's what you're kind of seeing now. I think a few teams are realizing, like, the teams that want to win, right? The teams that want to really jumpstart winning, the teams that have, Steph Curry want to win another title with him before it's over. The Sacramento Kings that want to get over the Warriors, right? Like the Spurs who are trying to actually start winning and give Victor Wembanyama a long run towards contention. Like, these are the teams that are interested in getting Lauri. So that should tell you, like, the value that these teams that want to win see in him. But it's going to take at least Mikal Bridges or more kind of offer. And it's going to be probably very pick heavy. But I think, let's talk through it. Like, what would a deal look like? The Warriors have a bevy of picks, of their own picks that they could trade over the next several years. But, if you're trading Lauri to that team and you expect for the Warriors to be good over the next few seasons, then that decreases the value of maybe the first few picks that you would get in that. And so the Jazz would want to get compensation of young players probably, because that's where they're going. They drafted 3 rookies last season. They drafted 3 rookies this season. They're a very young team, and they're looking to, like, fully rebuild if they were to get rid of Lauri.
So let me get in there. So let me get in there. And you just say yes or no or laugh at me. I'm going to start rattling names off, and you tell me, Andrew Wiggins.
No, thank you.
Okay. Podziemski. Brandon Podziemski.
Yes.
Kevon Looney.
If he's coming with pods, maybe. I don't know.
Some combination. Gary Payton II.
Maybe.
No, this is Sarah Todd speaking. This isn't Danny Ainge. Because I want to know.
I'm doing this exercise.
I want Sarah to put on her Danny Ainge hat. And
I'm putting on if I'm putting on the Danny Ainge hat, then I say give me Kuminga and pods on the picks.
There you go.
Wow, Kuminga and pods?
Yeah.
Wow.
And the pick.
Well, who would Kuminga, because Utah's a very specific market. I'm serious. Like, this is a reality. Like, Danny Ainge worked in Boston, and I know Brad Stevens has talked about, like, Boston, they draft a certain kind of player for their fans. That's why they have Hauser and the other kid off the bench. So
Peyton Pritchard.
Podziemski feels like, because he's a white guy. It feels like a guy that would fit in Utah. But Kuminga, that's a dramatic culture shift for Kuminga.
Donovan Mitchell thrived in Utah.
Hey, Jordan Clarkson is one of the most famous men in the state, and he absolutely loves it here.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so then maybe I'm wrong. And I apologize for sounding misinformed.
Jazz fans are loyal because that's all they got. Now they got the new hockey team. Maybe they'll get a baseball team. But those fans, they love you. They don't care what color you are up in Utah if you play on that basketball team, Sarah. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, this is the biggest show in town, right? It's not like you have, like, regional basketball teams. It's not like you have many pro sports teams competing for attention. The biggest show in all of the state of Utah, not just Salt Lake City, is the Jazz. And so they're loyal, and they're really ride or die for the players that come here. But like you're saying, right? Like, if you're putting on the Danny Ainge hat, you have to think of all things, not just like the package, right? Like, if I'm thinking about Kuminga, if you're doing, like, picks and Kuminga, if that's kind of package that you're looking at, I'm thinking, well, this is a guy who got upset and then ran to Shams when he got mad, right? Is that what you're going to get when you come to Utah and you're in for 4 years of losing? Like, is he going to be ready for that? And if that's the type of guy that you're bringing in, I want a little bit more. I want something more of a sure thing. So put pods in the equation too. Like, I think that there is a lot more than just basketball that you got to be thinking about it. And you have to also think about
what's the value of the picks? Are they picks that the Jazz are actually going to use? Because if they get rid of Lauri, they're obviously wanting to pick their own pick is going to be the best one that they have because they're going to tank full out. They're going for Cooper Flag at that point. And so then other picks that they get, they have to be complementary. Well, Warriors pick for next year wouldn't be good. The Warriors pick probably through 27 probably wouldn't be great if they've got, a guy like Lauri who's just barely entering his prime, and they will be able to still have assets and money to move around at that point. And so you have to think about what's actually coming over. The old adage is that, the best kind of trade is good and bad for both teams, right? Yep. And so you got to give up something to get something.
Sarah, you survived in Salt Lake City. You fit in. Tony Jones is from New York. He's as hood as it gets. No, I'm kidding. That's my guy, Tony. But Tony, he loves Salt Lake. I'm like, when you leave in Salt Lake? He goes, never. People love Salt Lake City. So I think JK would love it. And you know what? To your point about JK, if they're losing, I think JK, yeah, sure, he'll be disgruntled about the losing, but he knows he get playing time. And I think that's been the biggest issue here with Golden State, Sarah, is that he hasn't gotten consistent minutes. And he's just saying, dude, I want to start my career. I'm trying to get paid. I'm trying to make a name for myself. And I think that's been the biggest issue here with Golden State. So with all that said, are the San Antonio Spurs going to come and sweep the Warriors under the rug and just steal Lauri Markkanen and pair up with Victor Wembanyama? Because I'm hearing the Spurs are in the mix.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now it feels like the Warriors are front running. If there is kind of a front runner in this, that, Spurs, Kings, Pelicans, they're in the mix too. But, I think as far as like young players that might have upside and long-term potential, I think the Warriors have the players to make that happen. But I mean, I don't think the Warriors want to give up Kuminga and Todd, right?
I know for sure they don't. I know for sure they don't. Yeah.
It's gonna be like that's internal conversation of like probably between people like Steph and Lacob, right? Like how bad do both of those guys want another title together?
Mm-hmm. Real quick, Sarah, before we let you go, and we appreciate the time as always. Sarah Todd here on the River Islands guest line. Can you answer? I don't know if you can answer it, but Lauri Markkanen, I got to get that right. Lauri Markkanen, 68 games, 52 games, 50, 51, 61, 66, 65, 55. And I know last year they kind of shut him down to try to get a pick and get in position. Why is it, though? What's up with the injuries with Lauri Markkanen? Why can't he stay on the floor for more than 68 games?
Oh, yeah, I could see how that would look a little bad maybe from the outside looking in. Right. But think about the situations, right? Like in Chicago, the years that he was in Chicago, in Cleveland, the years that he was in Cleveland, those teams weren't trying to win, right? Like, and so you don't play guys their full extent if you want them to last. Right. And so there was little ticky-tack things here and there that he was out for, like small hand injury, there was back spasms, but you also have to wonder, like, how real were those things? And then I can tell you from up-close experience the last 2 years, the knee injury that had him out year before last, I would call that at very best Utah Jazz caution acting because if he had to play, he absolutely would have. Like that was not serious. The Jazz were winning too much for their liking. They wanted to lose a lot more games than they actually did the last couple of years. And so at the end of the season, I mean, if you look at like who actually played at the end of the last two seasons, like they shut down Colin Sexton, Jordan Clarkson, Lauri Markkanen. They shut down John Collins last year. He was totally healthy. They shut down Walker Kessler. He's only been in the league for 2 years.
I do like him a lot. Can he get traded? Is he on the market? I'll take Walker Kessler too.
I mean, I think that anybody on the Jazz can be had for the right offer right now.
Wow. Open season. But Danny Ainge, he's frugal. Has he lived up to that name?
I mean, I think that what has surprised me the last couple of years with the Jazz is that when the new ownership came in, Ryan Smith bought the team from the Miller family. And he grew up a Jazz fan, and so I thought he was going to be a little bit too fanboy to actually kind of make the moves the Jazz needed to do. Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert team had run its course. It was obvious from the outside that that wasn't going to make it happen. That wasn't going to do it. And I was worried that, frankly, he wouldn't have the balls to blow it up. And then he did. He handed the reins over to Danny Ainge and Justin Zanuck, and he said, "Do what you got to do."
And so I think that the belief that Ryan Smith has in the Danny Ainge, Justin Zanuck running of the team, I at this point, nothing would surprise me. I don't necessarily think that it's about frugality. I think it's like a real deep sense of what is going to give us the best long-term future, and they will pull the trigger if it means so.
So he'll get traded for sure. You think, Sarah, if you had to bet on it, he's getting traded?
Lauri?
Yeah, Lauri.
Man, it's going to really take a big haul. It is. I think if there is an offer, like if the Warriors come through with a big offer, that the Jazz would get it done, but they're not going to hold back on it. Like they're not going to say like, oh, we'll settle for a deal, because they would like to have Lauri for a long time if they can.
So you're saying someone needs to make them an offer they can't refuse?
I am, with all of the mouth and play, the hand movements. Yes.
Sarah,
you're a good sport.
You are. You're right. I love seeing you always. I love seeing you thrive out there in Salt Lake City, man. You're doing a great job as always from the Desert News. Sarah
Phenomenal
Todd,
insight.
You're doing a great job with the Jazz for a long, long time. Sarah, take care. Have a great holiday weekend.
Yeah, I'll see you guys soon.
Absolutely. Sarah Todd here on the Morning Roast on 95.